Hey there, Griff Hamlin here from Blues Guitar Unleashed. Welcome, thanks for joining me. In today's video, I just thought I'd have a little bit of fun. I want to give you 3 things you can do right away to sound more like B.B. King. I'm a huge B.B. King fan. He was probably my first blues guitar hero next to Stevie Ray Vaughan. I saw him in concert when I was a kid. Absolutely fell in love with B.B. King. Have always been a huge fan. I've transcribed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of measures of his music. I did an entire course on how to solo like B.B. King. I love B.B. King, so I thought, hey, let's have some fun with some B.B. King isms. So what we're going to start with, a lot of people might have heard of the B.B. King box or the BB box. Now, I don't call it the BB box because actually a lot of artists use this. But if I put my first finger on a G root note, I'm playing a blues in G, and I got my first finger on that G root note. Then I have the second, a whole step above it on the 10th fret, and I have the 8th and 10th frets on the first string, and I have the 9th fret on the string below. So there's my root, there's the second of the scale. If you were playing a major scale, there's the 4th, there's the 5th, and there's the 6th. So that pattern, I call it the house pattern because it kind of looks like a house, an upside down house on a piece of paper. If you play that pattern, you are not playing any known scale. I just want to make that clear. If you just play that pattern, right, by itself, I get a lot of questions like, well, is that the major blues sound or is that the minor blues sound? It's neither, period. It's not anything. However, you can very quickly turn it into something, and this is what B.B. King does. Taking the second and bending it up a whole step gives you a major blues sound. Right? So I get all those notes. If I bend it a half step, I get a minor blues sound. So of course, the first thing that you can do to sound more like B.B. King is to use that pattern. Now, early in B.B. King's career, he didn't use that as much. He actually used the more traditional, what we might call box 2 type of major blues pattern. He used, of course, our regular old box 1. Later in his career, he did tend to gravitate a lot more towards that BB box, or like I said, what I call the house pattern. So if you use that pattern, even with no licks, right? Even if you don't have any specific B.B. King licks, just playing through the pattern, it's hard not to sound like B.B. King. You use the pattern that he used, you tend to sound like him. So that's our first B.B. King-ism. The second one, and a lot of people will say that this is kind of campy or this is kind of hokey, but I think it's cool and I use it a lot even when I'm not playing a B.B. King song, is what I call the B.B. King sting, right? And if you double it, right, you can get some really cool sounds out of it. And the trick is, if I'm in a blues in G, again, that means G is my root. So I'm going to grab a high G up there. And not only am I going to hit it, you'll see that I put my pinky on it. And the reason I do that is so that I can relax my other fingers across the strings. It's not just that I'm going to hit that note. It's that I'm going to rake it, right? So I'm hitting all of the strings, but the only one that sounds is that G that I want. And that gives me the sound. And the other thing is the slide off, of course. Okay, so don't just think, I'm going to hit that note, and that's going to sound like B.B. King. That doesn't sound like, right? There's more to it than that. So, again, if you use the B.B. King box or the B.B. King pattern, and you add in that sting once in a while, it's going to sound like B.B. King. Now, if you're playing something else, is that necessarily bad? No, it's an awesome kind of nod to B.B. King and his influence. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. Some people might think it's a little campy, but I happen to love the sound of it. I use it as often as I can, all right? And that'll bring me to my third thing that you can do that sounds like B.B. King. And again, if you are using that house pattern, there's 2 obvious bend points, and one is the top note. The second obvious point is on the second string, because we just had a huge discussion about how that bend makes such a huge difference. B.B. King, however, will also bend on the 8th fret with his first finger. Now, B.B. King used 8-gauge strings. He used very light strings on a Gibson guitar, which has a shorter scale length. That means it was much easier. However, I'm using 10s, again on a Gibson scale length, but I can still do it. So he would go from the lower string to the higher again. You can get all of those bends in there and it sounds really, really cool. Now, again, with lighter gauge strings, that's going to be a whole lot easier, but I've adapted, I have calluses built up on that first finger. I can handle it on the 10s. You might want to try it out with 9s or even go so far as to go with the 8s, but it is a really, really cool sound. So to recap, we have the house pattern or the BB box. We have the BB King Sting, and we have the first finger bend. And you get some really, really authentic BB King sounds. Of course, a 335 doesn't hurt, using on the neck pickup with a little bit of overdrive, in my case, courtesy of my Boss Blues driver that's Keeley modded, same one as I always use for everything. So this is, that's it. There's nothing, super fancy to the sound. So that's it. That's all I got for you today. As always, if you have guitar playing friends you think would dig this video, please share it with them. I'm Griff Hamlin from Blues Guitar Unleashed. I will try to remember to leave a link into this video. I do have a course on how to solo like B.B. King. If you really love B.B. King the way I do and you want to really dig into his style, you might totally enjoy that. So I'll leave a link for that, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.